donated to a book. We found it in Rivera Library. And yeah, so she kind of like started the whole investigating trust companies, like big companies that had monopolies over a lot of industries, and that's why in 1909 the U.S. Department of Justice, under the Sherman Antitrust Act, they started to investigate Standard Oil Company, and in 1911 the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that it was illegal, so they had to dissolve into 34 smaller companies, because it controlled 91% of production and 85% of final sales. So it was like a really big monopoly. Out of the 34 companies, two of them, Standard Oil New Jersey and Standard Oil New York, also known as Tony and James Standard, were like of the 34. They were the two 34, and later on they merged again to become like.
The 1915 to 1928 most of our company's historical events helped to expand globalization. First thing I want to talk about is rubbing alcohol. Standard Oil created the first rubbing alcohol using petroleum chemistry, and it's so standard. I bought this about 2 hours ago at a Rite Aid.
Way to plan ahead.
Yes. Second thing I want to talk about is aviary flight. 1926, Amelia Earhart became the first aviatrix to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. 1926, Charles LaBarge, he was an American pilot. He was the first person to fly from New York to Paris, and this was an amazing accomplishment because it was in a single flight. He didn't do any pit stops. And the engine oil used for both those airplanes by the Meyer company. Another thing I want to talk about is during my time period, World War I started to happen, and one of the main weaponry ships used were dreadnoughts. Dreadnoughts, the standard fuel they used was coal. The problem with the coal was basically everything. It was heavy, it required a lot of manpower to handle, it clogged the engine, and it left the smog behind, which was allowed the ships to be easily spotted by enemy fleets. One day, they switched to oil, and everyone loved it because it didn't require manpower, it did not clog the engines, it was cheap, it was effective, and the U.S. excelled at dreadnought manufacturing with the oil, because while everyone in the world had to import their oil, the U.S. didn't, because it was the #1 oil provider on the planet at the time.
After the Great Depression, Exxon acquired more stocks of Humble, which eventually Exxon became one of the biggest oil companies in the world. This is one of Humboldt's refineries. It was the most major refinery in the U.S. during World War II. This refinery influenced the American side very greatly because the Lutel and Bolling, two important Bolling was used, and TNT, which is used heavily, and explosives used by the U.S. Army. And Lutel is important substance used in tires and in cars, even up to today. Humboldt's refinery eventually, after the end of World War II, Humboldt's refinery still became the largest domestic oil production in the U.S.
So over here, this is about 1948 to 1955, and from 1948 to 1954, Jersey Standard became the world's #1 oil company at the time, and Jersey Standard became Exxon, and then so that's where it originated from. And then in 1952, Jersey Standard introduced motor oil. We got like a little representation there, but that also has to do with the oil spill. In 1955, Jersey Standard establishes the ESSO Education Foundation, and it basically like funded some school programs and stuff like that. Also, ESSO, they had in the 1950s also they had like this picture right here represents a slogan that they had a Chicago writer come up with. It was like, put a tiger in your tank. And then it was kind of like to fuel like performance, like to help people, you know, they wanted people to buy the oil, honestly, and it was just like they have more power in their cars and stuff like that. And then in 1958, Pan American Airways had their first transatlantic Boeing 707 flight, and they used ExxonMobil oil for that flight, and it flew from New York to London. And then in 1963, the 3D seismic technology was invented, and that helped them. They used computers to like take pictures of land and stuff like that, and they could find out where high levels of oil are, and it saved them money on locating oil when they were able to dig it up. And then in 1966, Mobil Oil, it was like the celebration of Mobil Oil for 100 years. And they were originally vacuum oil company in 1866. And then finally, in 1972, they were like moving independently, and they eventually merged.
My time period was 1978 to 1989. What happened is ExxonMobil produced, Mobil, before they moved, produced a fully synthetic oil for the car engine. So we have a fully synthetic oil. The poster board pretty much represents different things in different time periods, how they progress throughout time. And the main thing which happened in 1989 is the oil flow Exxon Valdez in Alaska, and then we have the ship and the oil, that's real oil, and also the penguin which got attacked from the oil flow. And other than those two, they also developed the 3D mapping technology, which did not destroy the land to find the oil. So they also discovered another thing. But the main thing was when they successfully cleaned it up, they're saying that it's not going up.
Popping bottles in the ice like a blizzard.
1990 to 2000, and in 1989 or 98, they introduced the State House, which is like the quickest way for like customers to pump gas. And it was like an advantage because like you don't have to print receipts now. You can just pump them if you want. If you do like as many transactions as you wanted, as customers wanted. So that was an advantage. And in March 1999, Exxon and Mobil joined together to form ExxonMobil. Yay!
Yay! Good job!
No, no. No. Well, this is how it starts. Two lovers in the dark, on the run from the one that they call Chef Spark. 6 guns by the side and bullets round their waist. 2 shots to the sky, signal sign for the chase. The safe was nearly empty and they were nearly free, but was seen by the good eye of the mean Billy Green. And he screamed at the top of his lungs, they're on the run. It's the 2 outsiders, grab your horses and your guns. I said I wish that we could stay here, but I fear our time has come. We could ride out in the darkness, chasing the rising sun. We gotta pack our bags this instant. We're heading southbound to the next town. And if we arrive there so safely,